Alright guys, I'm back again with another video on changes that I've made yet again in regards to modules to help us hopefully have a better experience playing the game. And it's really three pieces. One is around calendar and what I've been doing with that. The second is a new heads-up display for your character's actions and spells and things of that nature. And then the third is around just some minor configuration that you can do. I wanted to show you because I've put a module to change the UI, just to make it a little bit cleaner. I really like how it looks and some of the things that it brings to the table. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first off, I have using a new module called Calendaria, which is really cool. Does a lot of really cool things. But when you start the game for the first time, you're going to see a couple of things that might pop up, right? So you'll see this is called a mini cal. Over here, you can just close that. I'll show you how to get back to it and what it's doing in a minute, but it's a calendar. And then at the top of your screen, you're going to have kind of this little HUD, another heads-up display. That's going to be a term I'm going to be using a lot. I would recommend keeping this because I'm going to be using calendar a lot more in our game. Especially as you have time-based events. You've got this quest you're trying to complete before the festival end date to prevent a war from happening. I'm tracking those on the calendar so you can see those and know exactly, how many days to certain things and when events are happening or even what's happened in the past. So I would recommend keeping this component, and it's very straightforward. It's going to give you the date. I haven't loaded my calendar for Eldoria, so it's just using the standard calendar. And then it shows the date and the time, and then this little display here is going to kind of show you the sun and the moon and all that really cool stuff as time moves throughout the day. But what's really cool about this that I really like is it also does weather, so it'll be clear skies, it'll be snowing, it'll be raining, it tells you what season, etc. So that's pretty neat because it's going to be integrated into some other special effects modules, and in the game it'll actually rain if it's raining, and if it's a thunderstorm it'll have thunder and lightning and all that cool stuff. So just add a little bit more immersion, but I would recommend keeping this. So again, you can drag and drop it if you don't like it there. You can move it around. This little wiggly is because there's a lock point, so it's just going to snap to that spot on the screen. So this is a pretty good spot. It stays out of the way, but if you want to move it, you can. The things that you can do, just real quick, is you can click this little calendar button, and it's going to open up what's called the big calendar, right? So it has a little bit more information, and you can see the phases of the moon. In my game, we've got those 3 moons, so you'll see all 3 phases. You can tell you which one its stage. It'll tell you the weather for that day. When it's an orange box, that's today's date. Then it has things like notes and festivals and key dates that'll highlight on the calendar. And so you can add a note if you want to add a note. I'll be adding notes, right? So you could have lore, and then say, categories is lore. I've already done that. Confirm, and then you can just type in your note, and when you're done, save it, and ta-da, there's now a note, right? You see the little icon here, so then you can go back to it and see what it is. So that might be a neat way to keep track of events or things that happen. You can still create journal entries too, so that's still there, but this is just another way of doing it. So the other thing you can do is you can control, so if you click on calendar settings, the little icon there, it'll bring up some options here that you can decide what you want to have enabled, what you don't want to have enabled. Like I said, I would leave the HUD display enabled just because, it'll be tied to some of the things that I've been doing. But you can also decide if you want to see full, which has this little dome, or compact. Again, completely up to you. And then you can configure if you want to open a big cal and things of that nature. So hopefully you keep it, but you can also do things like, so that mini cal on load that showed up, you can just disable that here and it'll automatically save, and then just close this out, and that's it. You've configured it. You can also see the note viewer, so you can see all the different notes that have been added. You can also then click this button, which allows you to create a new note without having to go into the calendar. So neat little tool. I like it. I'm going to be doing a lot more with it in regards to events and things of that nature, so I'd recommend keeping it. So that was change number 1. Change number 2 before I get into probably the biggest topic, let's talk a little bit about the UI changes. So there's another module called Carolinguin UI. Hopefully I said that right. But it adds some really nice layout features, right? So it's restylizing the buttons, the tabs and things of that nature. And on my side, it does a little bit more so that it makes it a little bit easier. So I really like it. But one of the changes that it does is when you open the character sheet, it usually has the tabs hanging off the right side of the character sheet that you would click on. That's just it's an icon like here. One of the things that it does is it changes those into tabs across the top with their name. So this, I think, is going to make it a lot easier than saying, okay, go to your features on your character sheet. Well, which button is it on the, and you're clicking all the way through it. Now you can just very easily see it. So I think this, minor change, but something I think that will just make it a little bit easier to navigate around. Otherwise, the character sheet is pretty much the same. But if you are interested, if you go into settings here, configure settings, you can go into Carolinguin and then configure some different options. So if you want to see, if you don't want to see, where did it go? Systems and modules, here it is, right? So if you prefer the tabs, when you go to systems and modules, you can turn the tabs back on. So that's completely up to you. But you do have some control, and if you want to get fancy and just play around with the different options, feel free. I mean, some of it's going to be limited in regards to what you can do. Don't go too crazy, obviously, but you can decide which way you want to see it. I like it like this. I think one, it makes it a little bit cleaner, and two, it's pretty much straight in your face. Go to your spells, done. All right, so that was the character sheet change. The last is around the heads-up display that has things like your actions and your spells and your features and those types of things. And if you notice, I clicked on Krusk here. The little heads-up display that used to show up at top is no longer there. That's because I'm now using a slightly different module. I had tried it once a couple years ago, stayed with the heads-up display, but I think where it's evolved, I really like what it does and how it operates. So I'll show you how to get to it. When we go into combat, it'll automatically display if you do not have it up, but the way that you get to your heads-up display is one of two ways. One is if you go over here onto the left tokens when you have token controls enabled. This little double sword toggle Argon Combat HUD. If you click that, it'll display, and it displays down here at the bottom. I'll turn that off. The other way that you can get to it is if you right click on your token, you can click on the double swords here and it'll display in the same spot. So this has a couple of really cool features that I like. Let me just kind of walk through how you use it. It's pretty self-explanatory, but just to kind of walk through it. The first thing that it does, which is really nice, is it separates your features, your spells, your actions into actions, bonus actions, and reactions. So if you're ever going, wait a minute, I've got a bonus action. What was my bonus action? What can I do as a bonus action? Well, I can click on use items and it'll show you which items you can use as a bonus action. And you just click on the button, it'll display it. If you click it again, it'll hide it. Right? Oh, what features do I have? Oh, I've got adrenaline rush. So I can do that as a bonus action. And it also displays here in the top the number of times you can do it, right? So you see here like lay on hands has a 5. So some of your features will just be a button here, so I don't have to click in to use it. I can just use it from here. So if I click this, it's going to say, here's all the things that you need to do, and that will heal. All right, usability done. So cool. Let me go to chat just to get out of that. So it's a nice, easy way of doing that. But, what spells do I have? You can click on that. It'll show you your various spells that you have that are bonus actions, and then the same thing from an action perspective. The one thing I don't see that I think we might still need to rely on the character sheet is if you have rituals that you need to cast, you might still have to do those off your character sheet. But the idea here is if I want, when you're casting spells, it'll show you your available spell slots, right? So you've got like 5 third level spell slots, 2 are used when you see the X's, and then when they're that light blue, that means they're available spell slots. And obviously cantrips are unlimited. When you click on the spells, it does it by spell level, but if you want to make it a little bit easier, you can minimize those by clicking, first level, second level, third level cantrip. And then you say, I want my first level spells. Great, let me click it, and now I can do it. And as you can see, as you hover over it, it will tell you the information about that particular spell. You can turn that off if you don't like it. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But this is a nice way of just saying, oh, where are my second level spells? What can I do? Okay, cool. Or my third level spells. So yes, I have a paladin who can cast fireball, but I'm just doing testing. So that's the spells. And then you have the same thing. You've got items, right? So what items do you have? It'll have all your weapons, right? A lamp, a holy water. Again, it has the usages. So this has one usage. A lamp will be continuous, right? Holy water, once you use it, it's gone. So it's a neat way of seeing that. So for folks that have like, Indomitable or Action Surge, it'll tell you how many times you use it. And if you use it, it'll decrement it. Like you can see here when I used Lay on Hands, it went from 4 to 5. Let me get rid of this for a second. I'm going to show you a few things here about making attacks, but I just wanted to click it. So let me close use item. So that's how you use this. So it's really nice in regards to saying, oh, I have a bonus action, or what actions can I do? What my feature is, So Wiz, when you have, that radiant do extra damage every round on a single attack, you'll be able to see it, just click it and use it. So it'll be helping you kind of keep remembering, because I know character sheets, there's a lot of features, there's a lot of things, so I think this will be nice in regards to doing it. And then reaction, obviously if you have reactions like, shield spell or things of that nature, they'll show up here, and obviously this is an opportunity attack with the war pick. So that's the action bar, like I like to call it. These 2 buttons, very self-explanatory. You can just click them, without, where do I go do that? So you can do your long rest and short rest right from here. It has your token and your key stats, like your hit points, your AC, your DC. And then before I talk about this top bar, if you need to ever do just save a skill or tools, you just click this little header here, and it's going to pop up this window. It's going to give you everything that you have, and you say, I'm going to do a wisdom, right? There it goes. It does the wisdom check, or it does a medicine check, right? So you can just do that right from here. Very quick, very short, very easy. I'll still prompt at times to say, give me a, but if you ever need to do one or want to do one and say, can I do a proficiency check or a perception check? Sure, just come here and then click perception. And then use your mouse wheel to scroll, so you can see what tools you have, and those types of things. So on the abilities, you just click the column. So if I want to do a strength save, just click the save column, and it's going to be a saving throw. And if it's a check, you just click the check column, and it's going to roll those appropriately. So that's that bar. This you'll never use, just because I'm always going to, when we start in a combat, I'll just do it for you. You can open your character sheet by clicking that. There it is. And then you can just close it. And then if you do have it up all the time, you can minimize it. So you'll see kind of this. If if you're simple, you just want to hide it, make it easy. So you can minimize it if you display it all the time. All right, so let's talk about these 3 boxes here. So what this does, and let me get rid of this. I'm just going to drag these out just so you can see. So when you start, you're going to kind of have it empty. And what this allows you to do is equip different sets of armor or shield or weapon combinations. So imagine that, your Krusk here, and I'm just going to go to his inventory tab, right? So I've got a war pick, I've got a flail, I've got a shield, and I've also got, so maybe some attacks I want to use my war pick, some attacks maybe I want to use my shield or flail. Or let me do this. Let me quickly add in, where's my player's handbook? Equipment. Let me do longbow. Longbow, drag that over. Cool, so now I've got the longbow, right? So when you go to longbow, it's a 2-handed weapon, so you shouldn't have your shield, right? So what you can do is you can use these to configure different, for lack of a better word, pairings. So what I can do is I can say, all right, Pairing 1 is I've got my war pick. I'll drag my war pick, and I'll drag my shield over, because a war pick is a one-handed weapon. I'm going to drag my flail over. Where did it go? It went there. That's fine. No big deal. And I'll drag my shield there. And maybe in this last one, my pairing is a longbow. So there's my longbow. So what does this do when you do that? So first of all, notice that this one has this little gray circle because that's the one that's selected. So you can see war pick is down here. So if I'm in combat, let me move next to this guy. I can now just, click war pick. It's going to swing and attack. Done, right? So pretty cool. But maybe I want to use, maybe I'm at range, right? So maybe I'm sitting back here and I can't get to him. So I want to use my longbow. Is just simply click that pair and notice here it changed to your longbow. And now I can just use my longbow and click that to make my attack. Maybe I've got this magical flail. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Let me just switch this around. Let me clean that up. I think that's a learning on my part. So just make sure that the weapon is always on the left box and your armor is on that side. Cool. So here, if I switch to flail, notice I've got my flail here. So it's just a nice, easy way to quickly switch to say, oh, I'm going to go and do, my heavy crossbow that I just picked up. Just drag it and put it in this window here, and off you go, and you're ready to go, and you just use it, and you can switch it. And then the nice thing is if you like it minimized and, all you're going to do is keep swinging and attacking, and you just want to switch combinations, okay, cool. It's still there. So long story short, that's probably the most interesting feature, so it allows you to quickly and easily switch between it. I'm doing my longbow this time. Great, next round I can get next to him in combat. I'm going to switch to my war pick, or maybe my flail, because I want to do flail or whatever. Maybe it's a magical flail, and I'm fighting this demon guy, so let me do that. So that's that piece of it, which I think is going to be very, very, very handy. The other thing that it does, which is pretty cool, is there's no, you can still absolutely 100% do it. In Foundry, we do a lot of targeting, right? So where you move your cursor over a token and you click T, right? Or you can click the little button up here or whatnot, right? If you forget to do it, what's going to happen is when you go to use this flail as an action, and I click it, I'm going to get rid of, I don't know why that keeps showing up, but I'll get rid of that. But notice next to my icon, my mouse, it says 0 of 1 targets. So what it's going to do is it's going to say, oh, you don't have anything targeted? I can just go and click it. And ta-da, once you click it, it's going to roll and do all the other automation that is in place. So that, no longer do you have to say, oh, I didn't target him. How do I go target him? Just click and do your action, right? If I have him targeted and I swing away, this is really getting annoying. I'll figure out how to turn that off. You can just swing and it knows that you've got the target selected and off it goes. This is true for spells as well. So if I want to do, let's say, Bane, right? Or maybe I just have to do confirm, right? I can go up to 3 targets. There's only 1 target here. So, how do I get out of that? That's interesting. Huh. That might be interesting. I'll have to look at that. But I think you get the idea. Is it's going to help from a targeting perspective. And all I did is I right-clicked, and that got rid of that. I'm going to have to figure out how to execute a spell when you only have 1 of 3 targets available like that. So I'll look into that and get back to you. But I like that it will tell you if you don't have something targeted, you can just come along and select it. So I thought that was pretty cool. The other thing is if you want macros, you can see the macros here. Obviously, I don't have any set up here because it can override the bar. Now, I can hear some of you, hey, this is really big. Well, I have it really large just to make it easy to demo, but you have control over that. So if you go back into settings and you go into configure settings, you want to look for this Argon Combat HUD core. That's interesting. I don't have, maybe it's because I don't have the D&D one loaded here. But if you go into Combat HUD core, you're going to have this setting here. This is where you want to look at is auto scale is enabled. So based off of your screen size, so it's going to automatically say, hey, I've got this resolution. I'm going to size it appropriately. If you don't want that, you can disable that, and then you can control the scale using the slider. So obviously, when you go too small, and if I save changes, it's going to reload, and you'll see how small it is, right? Let me go here. Doo, 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 doo. Go and bring it back up, right? It's really tiny, probably not really useful. So just play with it until you find a setting that you like. So, 0.5, 0.4 is probably a good range. So it's not too big. Save changes, there it is, right? So now you can see it's much smaller. You can still read everything, but it takes up less space. So you do have control of that. The last thing I think in configuring those settings, if I go back to Argon HUD, what was the last one? So you yourself can decide if you want to hide the macro bar or the player list. Hopefully with this, you don't really need to use the macro bar that much because you were using it to do things like casting spells or making attacks. So you can hide that, and then you can slide it all the way over to the left, right? So you do have controls over, fade out display. You can turn off tooltips. So if you don't like how, it was showing these little tooltips over everything, you can turn that off. So you do have some control of that. And then this is what controls your positioning. So you can move it left or right. It's probably not going to go much further to the left, but I like that spot. So again, there's a few things you can do with it there. So with that said, that's what I wanted to show you. We'll talk more about it the next time I run, but wanted to share those changes, give you some guidance on how to use them, and I think it's going to really, hopefully improve the gameplay a little bit. Have a good one.